All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight for our trail camera masterclass. It's kind of crazy. We're almost to August already. We got a month until a lot of seasons kick off, only a couple weeks in some states. So we'll give it just a couple of minutes to let everybody, get situated and get settled in. A little bit of housekeeping while we wait. So your audio and video are turned off, so we can't see or hear you. No worries there. This class is being recorded, so we will send you an email tomorrow evening. It'll come to your inbox about this time tomorrow with the YouTube link, so that if you need to dip out early, you can go back and watch the portion you missed, or just rewatch and review any of the information that you want to see in the future. If you do have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box down below. There's a chat box and there's a Q&A box. The chat box is good just if you want to let us know who you are, where you're tuning in from. Chat is not a good place for questions. They just get lost there. It's hard for us to keep track of them and answer them. So please use that Q&A box. We can't guarantee we'll answer any of the questions in the chat there. And then we are doing a giveaway. We're going to give away some Moultrie Edge 2 trail cameras, Jared.
Edge 2 trail cameras, indeed. We'll be giving away
about 10 of those at the end of the class. So we'll have the link in the chat towards the end of the class. So you do have to be present at the end of the class to enter that. And so with that, looks like we got quite a few folks rolling in here. My name's Jack Headland, based out of our Missoula office here. I'm actually not going to be doing a whole lot of talking tonight because we've got our resident whitetail guru, Jared Larson, sitting south of me a little bit at his home, and he's going to run us through what we need to know about trail cameras. So Jared, you got some out already this year?
Yeah, you know me, Jack. I certainly do. I've got some. I got some in Iowa. Got some at home in Wisconsin. I've got some in Montana, and I got a trip here. 10 days out where I'm going to head to Illinois and hang a few. So yeah, Moultrie makes a good penny off of Jared Larson on their data plans, and I'm okay with that. But so far, honestly, my trail cameras have been pretty slow as far as exciting bucks to be seen. But I've certainly been in that situation before at this time of year, and a lot can change, and a lot does change, especially in the next month as bucks start to shed their velvet, move around a little bit, get back to their fall home ranges, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Well, appreciate you teaming me up, Jack. I'll take it away from here. So obviously we got a bunch of people in here looking for some insight and intel on trail cameras. So that's what I intend to do. I mean, a little bit of background on me. I grew up in Wisconsin, went to college in Iowa because I really didn't know what I wanted to do other than hunt deer. And going to college in Iowa allowed me to get resident deer tags for 4 years. So that's how I ended up there. And then fast forward to now, I've been at onX for 8 years and lead all of our marketing for the whitetail and turkey markets. So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here. And now I'll dive in and kind of walk you guys through our trail camera integration, the partners that we have with trail cameras that are compatible to integrate. We'll touch on some trail camera analysis. And then I'll share a few insights and tips that I've certainly found success in as far as when to hang trail cameras where, and some of the strategies I employ to, yeah, ultimately, hopefully get more bucks of interest walking by your cameras. So bear with me for just a second. I'm going to join from my phone, so there might be a little audio snafu for a minute, but that way I can share from the app.
Recording in progress.
All right, so you guys got audio okay on this?
Yeah, it sounds good on my end, at least, Jared.
All right, perfect. Some people are saying, yep, that's perfect. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen here. All right, looks like I'm sharing. Hopefully you guys got me. If you don't, chime in on the chat and I'll get her fixed up. But all right. Zooming out. So trail camera integration, we launched this a couple years ago, and the whole purpose behind this was, you know, obviously onX is the leading mapping platform out there for hunters, and we are keenly aware that, as a whitetail hunter, particularly as a whitetail hunter anyway, trail cameras are a core part of many folks' strategy. And so we realized that that was part of the market that we needed to catch up to speed on and cater to. And so over the last 3 years, we've sought partnerships really with every major trail camera brand that is in existence today. We have talked to. And at this point, Bushnell, Covert, and Moultrie are the three partners that have bought in and chose to integrate with us. Of course, Moultrie is new this year. And, I don't think there's going to be too much disagreement here that, of Bushnell, Covert, and Moultrie. Moultrie certainly has the best product and the best experience as far as the trail camera goes of those three. So we are super excited to onboard them this year, and just go to that next level of more cameras out in the field being able to be integrated simply because Moultrie has more customers due to that greater experience and greater offering that they provide to the market. So I'm actually going to pop over to the Moultrie app because at the end of the day, that is where the integration is kicked off from. You can go in here and you can create a trail camera from onX, but there will be no way to initiate the integration from onX. So I'll pop over to my Moultrie app and I'll show you how to integrate. So when you pull up Moultrie here, it obviously kind of dumps you into your gallery. And so from there at the top left-hand corner, you have your hamburger menu. And this is where you can facilitate your onX connection. So right there, you see onX connection about halfway down the screen. And mine's going to look a little bit different. I'm not going to disconnect and then reconnect because that causes some real hiccups with the integration. But once you go to this screen, if you have not yet integrated, you will see you'll basically get kicked in to log in to your onX account. So you're going to put the email and password that you use to log into onX. And then it's going to show you this screen more or less after just asking you to confirm that you want to provide onX and Moultrie access to each other, essentially. But then this allows you to select the cameras that you want to integrate. And so one big thing that I will caution people here, as we're continuing to build and iterate off of this integration experience, the best way to integrate a camera is you get your Moultrie camera, your Bushnell camera, Covert camera. Honestly, the Bushnell and Covert integration experience is almost identical to the Moultrie experience. You go to the menu. I think the nomenclature might be a little different. It might be a connect to onX versus onX connection. But then from there, what I recommend you do is you go into Moultrie here and you make sure that you name your cameras. So in your individual devices here, I've got a pile of them. Some of them are in the field, some of them are not. But basically, I'll use this River Berm camera. I set this one this last weekend, but I would go in here once you have your camera activated, go into your device settings, name your camera something meaningful. I always go by location. I certainly have buddies that go by camera one, camera two, whatever your naming strategy is. Make sure you put a name on it, and you twizzle the bits with your settings within Moultrie before you connect to onX. Because let's say you immediately, activated a Moultrie and you connected it to onX right away. Well, then whatever the default name was set by Moultrie, which more than likely is going to be, something like Edge 2 1626, or because that one it's usually part of the serial or IEMI number. So I really recommend when you activate your camera, set the name, get all your settings dialed in, and then go do the onX integration, because then when you do it that way and you integrate with onX, you don't have to do anything with onX once you have initiated that integration on the Moultrie side. It automatically is going to create these trail camera icons on your map. And depending on what camera that you have, it's going to either use that camera's GPS location if that camera has GPS capabilities, which I believe the Moultrie Edge 1 and the Edge 2 do not have GPS capabilities, but the Edge 2 Pro, Edge 3 Pro, and Edge 3 Solar all have integration. I have all my layers turned off here just in case any of you are sleuthing around trying to figure out where my cameras are at. But this is a private farm that I'm able to hunt, and you can see I have a few cameras integrated across it. There'll be about double this amount here in a month. But I'm gonna just tap on this one. So this is a spot that my family has had a camera on for the better part of the last 20 years. It's been a super successful camera location. Quick reason as to why. So there's actually a gate right here in a fence that we leave open right about where I drew that line distance. There's a gate. This camera location is probably about 10 yards off from its actual exact location. But honestly, I think that's pretty dang good, seeing as it's a Edge 2 Pro going off the Moultrie GPS, and with the communication from camera to Moultrie to onX. If it's 10 feet off of where it truly is, I can handle that. That's close enough for me. And so this is a big CRP field here to the north. It's never been planted in ag. It's all just like government program type CRP program. This is an ag field that we usually leave this little corner as kind of a food plot. And then again, there's this open gate right there. So just a real, I'll call it a natural funnel just because that fence line has been in there forever. I guess technically it's more of a man-made little funnel with the fence line pinch between the two open fields. A lot of times those deer will bed in this open CRP. And then you have this big timbered ridge up here above it as well. But so once you get those cameras integrated, they're going to tell you basically the last time you changed batteries. And currently, that's 21 days. That's because I put that camera out there. Well, better yet, my old man hung that camera out there 21 days ago. So it's gonna, keep that up to date for you, as well as, you can let it know whether you have an SD card in there, how many gigabytes. If you guys are running Moultries, you know that they don't take SD cards. And then you can also set the direction in which the camera is facing. This one's facing northeast. And this kind of just helps you understand, all right, that camera's facing northeast, which at first notion, that's not like super novel information. But as you start to build pictures and pay attention to some of the metadata within those cell cam pictures, the time of day, you can look at what the wind direction was based on the date and the time of day. And you start to build an understanding of, oh man, all right, there was a really good buck that walked by this camera, right before daylight. And he was headed from, kind of south to north, coming from this ag field food, and he was headed towards the CRP. Well, that's going to allow me to kind of hypothesize or build a plan, figuring that he's feeding out there at night into the early morning. He's headed somewhere to the northwest in order to go back to his bedroom. So it's those little pieces of the puzzle that will help you understand what your deer are doing. And that's kind of the whole reason that we did this integration, is to put your cameras with your photos on the map. And so as you see, I have some photos coming in here multiple times a day. And what you can do within here is start to filter out what you want to see. So at the top there, you can see in the last 21 days, I've gotten 276 photos on this camera. And so to sort through some of the noise, you can select white-tailed deer or animal as the only things that are going to show up in your photos, to eliminate the squirrels, the raccoons, the branches blowing in the wind, whatever it may have been. And this is a machine learning process that it's only getting better as it continues to analyze photos that are coming in. So it's only going to get more and more accurate over time on analyzing accurately whether it was a white-tailed deer. And of course, we certainly have plans for this to go deeper in future iterations, you know, be it white-tailed deer, turkey, hog, coyote, whatever it may be. As we continue to develop this machine learning, we will get more granular and more detailed on what we're able to show you. And then, of course, you can customize it by date and time. If you only wanted to see a specific window of time, you could filter in and see just that specific window of time for any given camera. And then it'll also show you the history of locations. So, you know, if you set a camera in one spot for a couple weeks and it doesn't pan out and you're not getting photos and you go in and you move it to a new location, it's going to save those different locations for you. That way you can go back and understand, you know, from a photo, you know, basically this one moved on July 25th. And so with that, you can then piece together, oh, that camera was located 200 yards away at the, you know, the ridge saddle above this or wherever it was. You get a good understanding of where that camera has been, where it is currently, just to give you that historical context of where those photos attached to that camera were from. So that's kind of the basis of integration. You know, you can tap on any given one of these cameras and look at your photos from any one of these cameras. You know, starting to get some decent bucks growing some antlers. And then the other thing you can do if you don't want to look at an individualized trail camera, you can tap on that trail camera button towards the bottom right of your screen. And this is going to show you all of your cameras that you currently have integrated or archived. And so as you can see, I have 12 cameras in the field. All of them are Moultries. Oh, didn't mean to click that. But so you can scroll through, see all your cameras that are integrated. As you can see, 5 days ago, I hung a number of cameras. 21 days ago, my dad and uncle were hanging some cameras. And so that's kind of what it's going to show you. And then you can archive cameras. So if you have a camera that is no longer in the field, so let's just say I wanted to pull this river berm off of my trail cameras, I could go in here and I could archive it. I don't want to do that at the moment, but you could if you wanted to archive that photo or that camera to no longer be in the field. So that's really the best way to do that. And then, of course, if you wanted to just see all of your photos in aggregate, well, looks like I've got a little bug going on here. It might take just a minute to load up, but theoretically speaking, all of your photos from all of your cameras will appear here. I'm not sure what's going on there. I guess I'll be talking to our product manager tomorrow. Why my photos aren't showing up. If anybody else is seeing this in live time in this webinar, chime in, and that'll give me some more fodder for our product team to go figure out what's going on. But again, you can tap on any given camera and go see the photos of that individual camera. So that's really kind of the gist of trail camera integration. And again, all right, Matt Garza's having the same problem. So there we go. Not my favorite time to discover a bug when I'm live on a webinar with a few hundred customers, but what do you do? We'll go get it fixed tomorrow for all of us. So that's kind of the gist. If you have a Bushnell, a Covert, or a Moultrie branded cellular camera, you can go integrate them, get your photos attached directly to your map, where it matters most to kind of plan and strategize your hunt. And so with that, we actually have another feature that I am now going to stop the share on my phone, and I'm going to switch over to my web browser and show you what you can do with trail camera analysis. So hop out of that with my phone. And I am going to share my screen over on my desktop here. All right, let's see. Is everybody seeing what I'm sharing here? Yep, good to go. All right, people are seeing it. So after you integrate a trail camera, we are automatically in this analysis here. So I'll just show you how I got there real quick first. So you have your general web map. If you've never logged into web map before, all you do is go to onxmaps.com and then log in at the top right corner. Jack, do you got something to chime in on?
Yeah, we're not seeing your web map. We're seeing like your desktop with your folders and stuff.
Okay, let me try her again here. Sharing. Okay, desktop 2.
Now we're seeing your web map.
Beautiful. All right. So yeah, Jack, keep me honest. If something happens, please shout at me.
Yep.
If you've never been to our web map, I could not recommend using it more highly. I would say 95% of the time, if I am using onX from home, I'm using web map. It's just bigger. I find it a little bit easier to navigate, pick apart terrain. You can really manipulate 3D a little bit better, in my opinion, on web map. So onxmaps.com, top right-hand corner, select hunt, and that'll just your same login that you use on your phone, you can use it on web map. So from there, on the left-hand side, you'll see this trail camera option in this left-hand bar. And so if you click that, you'll see, the same photos that you see, on your phone. There's some filtering. You can sort through. As you see, I have photos from all the way back into 2020. I have photos in here. But you can do some filtering, and then just based upon the trail cameras that you have filtered, that's the photos you're going to see. So, what I want to talk about here, though, is analysis. So up at the top right there, or top left rather, you'll see that analysis option. And so this is automatically going to happen when you integrate a trail camera. There is not one lick of additional work that you need to do in order to get analysis. But if you want analysis, and let's say you don't have a Bushnell covert or Moultrie, you can still get this analysis by simply taking an SD card, putting it into your computer or an adapter, and then dumping those photos into a trail camera location that you were to create. So if you wanted to do that, all you would do, add a trail camera, you could just name it whatever you're going to name, demo cam, whatever brand it might be. Let's say it's a Spy Point. You could put in the model, we'll call this one an SD card. Battery count, it takes 12. SD capacity, whatever. We're making it here just for example's sake. Let's say this camera is in the field and I placed it today and it's facing north. I'm going to name it demo cam. And so once you save that cam, now you see at the bottom of the screen here, you have the ability to upload. So you could pull from all of your images that you have in a folder or downloaded on your computer or wherever they may be. You're able to upload those into onX, hundreds at a time. That way you can get this analysis, even though you don't have an integrated cellular camera. And this analysis, this is where we're at today. But again, everything that you're seeing today is really just the start of onX and our endeavors into the trail camera space. I've been working pretty dang closely with our product team to get more analysis in here. Just more granular on different weather patterns, moon phases, barometric pressure, and there's even, some idealistic state down the road that you might even be able to put in your own inputs for analysis for metadata to be pulled out on trail camera photos. So with this analysis, the biggest thing that you want to make sure you're doing is you can select the cameras that you want to be analyzed. So as you see in here, I have 13 camera locations currently selected. and I have 78 historical trail camera locations in here. So if I were to analyze all of these cameras at once, honestly, it would be pretty meaningless data because there are camera locations across Montana, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Missouri. You know, there's probably 7 or 8 states worth of trail cameras in this list of cameras. And so I always am pretty granular on the ones I'm selecting. So the only ones I have selected are the few cameras that my old man hung in Iowa and the few cameras that I have out here in Wisconsin or out here in Montana rather. And so over the last couple weeks here, you can see I have gotten a whole pile of photos, and it really helps to know the time of day when those deer are moving and when you're getting pictures of them, and especially could be helpful if you're really tracking a singular buck that is recurrent on a particular camera. You could really just analyze, a singular camera, and you want to just select all, deselect all, and let's say we really just wanted to analyze the Iowa 7 acres. And so, oh, well, another bug there. So that one definitely has photos on it, but we will go select just a couple here to ensure that we get some data. So let's say I just wanted to look at those 5 camera locations. You're then going to just get analysis on those 5 camera locations to understand, time of day. Now, of course, time of day isn't like a super novel thing that's difficult to pull out. You can flip through your photos individually and pretty quickly get a good idea of what time of day deer are coming by a particular camera. Where this is helpful, though, is really when pairing the time of day based on where your trail camera is. Is your trail camera over a major food source? Is your trail camera in a buck bedroom? Is your trail camera on a mineral lick? If it's on a mineral lick, time of day is probably not going to be helpful for you really at all in any capacity, because once that mineral lick is gone, or a lot of states make you pull those mineral licks X days before your season starts. Those are inventory pictures. Whereas like for me in the early season, I hang a lot of cameras in buck bedrooms or hypothesized buck bedrooms. And so at that point, time of day of a photo is really valuable to me, especially this giant spike and this giant spike. And so 6 a.m. right now out here in Montana, I don't exactly know what time sunrise is, but I would put it around that 5:30 mark right now. And so with these cameras being in a buck bedroom and a lot of pictures at 6 a.m., what I'll then do is really start to analyze the wind direction. And so, over here in the Bitterroot Valley, we do have a predominance of south winds a lot of times, especially this time of year. Um, but as that changes into fall, we definitely shift to, we still get a pretty fair number of south winds out here, but we get more winds out of the north than we do in the summertime. But what this allows me to do is understand, okay, if I get a picture of a buck a few days in a row or a few days out of a week at 6 a.m. and he's consistently, coming from left to right across my camera, and I know what direction that camera is facing, you can then kind of work backwards and understand, okay, that buck is coming across this camera right around daybreak. He's consistently doing it on a southwest wind. And then that really helps you understand, okay, that buck is using this bedroom on a south wind, southwest wind. These are the days he was there. And then you can start to piece the puzzles together of, all right, I had 3 pictures of him in a 7-day span. Well, would you look at that? Only 4 of those 7 days was there a southwest wind, and 3 of the 4 he walked by this camera to go to that bedroom. Like that's the intel that we are trying to help make far easier to understand for you guys by having this time of day. Honestly, day of year, that's super super low hanging fruit and easy for us to pull out of the metadata. Is it super valuable for putting together what wind direction or what bedroom a buck is using on a wind direction, or how does pressure affect uh daylight movement of bucks. Like day of year doesn't really do a whole lot for me, other than it's just interesting to see when you're getting the most photos. Wind speed and wind direction, a whole different story. You can again pair that with the time of day to really better understand, what a particular buck is doing on a particular wind direction, whether that's on a food source, whether that is on a buck bedding area, whether maybe you put it on a rub line and you're getting bucks on a particular wind direction. A lot of that stuff would shock you how much data there is that can be brought into correlation with deer movement, but without something to automatically analyze and help guide you and help you understand those inputs and that metadata, it's really hard to pull those patterns out. So that is the ultimate goal here, is that we're helping you pull those patterns out. That's going to help you become more efficient in the field. I think that's the number one thing we hear from customers is they have limited time to go hunt. There's not many people out there that get to spend 30 days in a tree stand over the course of a singular fall. It's they have a weekend here, a weekend there, and maybe they can slip out on a Tuesday night when your kids don't have a X, Y, or Z sports practice or game or whatever it may be going on. So that is why this analysis tool was built, just to help you be a little bit more informed and put together some patterns to be more efficient with the time you have. And then we do combined wind speed and direction. So, you can filter this out. I'm going to go select a few more camera locations and we'll bump up these numbers to give you a better idea of what this could look like. You know what? Heck, we'll just select them all. And so, yeah, then you can really see, I have more trail cameras integrated right now than I did last year. So that's why we got a big spike of animals right now. And then, you can really start to analyze based on wind direction and speed. You get this nice little pie chart. And again, it all kind of goes back to time of day based on where you're setting your cameras, food source, bedroom, whatever it may be. And then that's when this information would really help you start to pull out some correlations as to why deer are doing what they're doing on the property you're hunting. So that's really the gist of trail camera integration and trail camera analysis. Again, with integration, it all starts at the partners app, Bushnell, Covert, or Moultrie. Get that integration going. Once you integrate, that's automatically going to drop a trail camera on your Hunt app. And with that integration, it's automatically going to analyze every photo that you're getting in. If you don't have a Bushnell, Covert, or Moultrie, I'd encourage you to go pick up one. Definitely, I would recommend Moultrie of those three brands. I have not yet run their new Edge 3 series. It just launched last week, I believe. But I've run a bunch of their Edge 2s, a bunch of their Edge 2 Pros. Of course, I like the Edge 2 Pro a little bit better than the Edge. It has a little bit richer feature set, takes slightly better pictures, slightly better videos, gives you GPS location. But at the end of the day, I don't think you can go wrong with anything in the Moultrie lineup. But if you don't have one of those cameras and you still want this analysis, it's as easy as creating a trail camera and just uploading your SD photos. So that's pretty much what I got on integration and analysis. Jack, what are we looking at for questions here? Do we got some to answer?
Well, the most popular question is one you could probably guess. What about other brands? Tacticam was mentioned by far the most.
Yeah.
Potentially in the future, or what's the situation?
Yeah, so I mean, we had lengthy discussions with you name the manufacturer of trail camera, Spy Point, Tacticam, Spartan, so on and so forth. And ultimately Tacticam just really did not have an interest in partnering with us. And I'll say we tried 7 ways to Sunday in trying to make something work with Tacticam to partner. Because Tacticam and Moultrie were far and away the most requested brands to facilitate integration with when we started this whole project. And it took us a little over 2 years to get Moultrie on board. So I'm not going to say, never say never. I think there's definitely a futuristic possibility that we're able to add a tactic camera, a spy point, or other brands. But unfortunately for 2025, we're pretty solidified in what we have for Bushnell, Covert, and Moultrie. I will say, like, there's definitely some warm conversations with other trail camera manufacturers. Spartan, we're certainly chatting with. We've had conversations with Browning. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the other value prop that I see onX being able to facilitate is for folks that run multiple brands of cell cams, because that has certainly been me in past times, and it's pretty cumbersome to have 2, 3, 4 different apps that you're having to go into and check photos and check cams, and being able to integrate multiple brands of cameras is another reason we really wanted to go down this road and form some valuable partnerships to bring as much data as we can into your map, which is where you should be strategizing and how to catch up with that target buck.
A question from Kim here. Do you need to be elite to sync trail cameras?
You do not. So if you are a premium or an elite member, you can integrate trail cameras. The analysis portion of it is for elite members, because that is, obviously insightful data that takes a lot of product work to pull all the metadata and do that analysis. So as any paid member, you can integrate your trail cameras, and we would love it if you did so. And then if you want that analysis, you're going to have to bump up to elite.
Cody asked, once you've integrated, do previous photos from the past show up, or do they just start to show up after the integration?
Yeah, great question. One we get a lot. So they only start after the integration, because the API calls made from Moultrie's app to onX's app do not go in reverse. They only start today and go forward, but that is something that we've been asked enough that we're certainly looking into it to figure out how possible it is. Now, as you can imagine, if you're somebody that leaves your camera out year round with a solar panel, that could become a really cumbersome data transfer if you have thousands of photos on a singular camera to bring that whole backlog over is beyond my technical scope of technical terms, but I do know it's hard.
Let's see. You kind of went over this, but if you have a camera that doesn't have GPS, are you just going in manually and marking it on the map?
Yep, exactly. So I actually I share my Moultrie account with a few folks. So trail cameras I have on public ground, I actually just put them at my house. So you'll see me sitting right here in Lolo, and well, that one is actually in my yard. But like this one is not in my yard. It's taking photos. Actually got a pretty good buck on there yesterday. Where is he? Yeah, right here. Interesting buck. But yeah, so I purposely have these cameras in my yard so I don't get the buddies I have my Moultrie login shared with, any ideas of sneaking into a spot. But if I wanted to move this camera, all I would do is click this move button. And at that point, you can drag it anywhere you would like to drag it. So that's all you got to do to manually move one to its current location.
Here's a question. We got a few kind of along this line of what do you suggest if we're missing cameras on the map? I have two Edge 2 Pros that don't show on onX. So I'll maybe jump in on that one, Jared. There's a couple potential things at work there. It could be an issue on the onX side. It could also be an issue on the Moultrie side. So it's tough to say for sure what might be happening there, Brandon, but I do want to give a plug for our customer support team. They're going to be able to do troubleshooting, at least as far as the onX side of things. If it's an issue on the Moultrie side, you want to contact Moultrie customer support, which I have a couple Moultrie cameras and last year had some issues with them, gave them a call. They were great to work with. Otherwise, if it's an onX, if it's an issue on our side, shoot us an email to help@onxmaps.com. That's our just our general customer support email inbox. So shoot us an email and we'll take a look at it and see what we can do to get you straightened out there.
Yeah, and the other thing, make sure when you go to your onX connection in your Moultrie app, you have that camera selected in the little selection box when you hit connection. I've had that happen to me before. And then the other thing that I have noticed, like when I got some of my cams over to my dad to go hang them in Iowa for the tag we drew together, for whatever reason, when he activated those cameras, before they were ever integrated. Like he had hung them in Iowa at their locations before I integrated them. But for some reason, when they were activated, they were actually placed on my map where they were activated, which was at my dad's house in Wisconsin. So what you can do to kind of check that is if you go to any given one of your cameras, you can click on the camera and it's going to zoom you to that camera's current location, and you might find that they are on the map. They just weren't where you would have expected them to be on the map.
Trenton asked, well, he put three questions in one. So we'll run through them one at a time. First one, does the analysis work for elk?
It does. So, we have the ability, or we have the filter for white-tailed deer, because no secret to anyone in this group, that is the majority users of trail cameras in this country is whitetail hunters. But we don't discriminate on ungulates in our analysis. So if you want to get a bunch of cameras and hang them out in elk spots and get some elk photos coming in, we're going to give you that same analysis as far as time of day, wind direction, time of year, wind speed, all that stuff to help you pattern an elk and put a whole bunch of meat in your freezer.
His next two photos are fairly similar. So can onX employees access your photos? And what is the legality of these photos? Can law enforcement pull these photos?
Yeah, so we do not have access, like no individual employee has access to your photos. Like Jack and I cannot go find your trail camera photo connected to your account. I mean, it's literally impossible for any singular employee to do that. As far as law enforcement goes, if we get subpoenaed for like a poaching case, we certainly comply with law enforcement. But it's not like we send data sets off to the green genes of every county. But at the end of the day, yeah, if you're in trouble with the law and it's subpoenaed for your onX information, we're going to cooperate with the powers that be.
Adrian asked, talking about like some of the analysis. If you delete photos, is that metadata still used in the analysis or does it get pulled out?
Nope. So that analysis is going to, I mean, basically update in real time, just as you're getting cell camera images. So if you go in and you delete photos out of, in individual camera or in your aggregated photo area, those will not be analyzed. We're only analyzing what is live and in your account at that time.
Before we get to a few more questions here, I'm going to throw the giveaway link in the chat so that folks can get entered to win a camera. I'm also going to turn the chat off right now just so that the giveaway link doesn't get lost. That's some feedback we've gotten previously that more chats come in and people can't find that link. So click on that link in the chat right now. We're just going to ask for your email and your shipping information. And then I will draw the winners tomorrow morning. I will send you an email. We'll get some cameras headed your way, or one camera per person, I should say, headed your way. And if you're, I've gotten some feedback on the giveaway links that sometimes people aren't able to click on them. You might have to copy and paste or write it down and type it in manually. Some phones have, some stricter security where it doesn't work. Giveaway does close at midnight tonight. So midnight mountain time. So make sure you
Fill it
get
out
entered
right
right
now.
away. What's that?
Said, yep. So fill it out right now is the bottom line.
Let's do a couple more.
Yeah.
Ed asked, "Can I share these camera feeds with my hunting buddies who are also onX users, similar to how I share onX waypoints?"
Yeah, so currently you cannot, Ed, unfortunately. We're working through how to make that a possibility, and the reasoning as to why is it's not really a one size fits all scenario. Like one person's trail camera might only have 5 photos attached to it, where another person's trail camera might have 5,000 photos attached to it. And so we didn't want to come to the market with a very unclear reasoning why you could maybe share one camera, but you couldn't share another camera. And so we're working through the technical capabilities of basically being able to facilitate the sharing of a trail camera that has a pile of photos attached to it. Because like that's the whole purpose, right? Is you want to share that with your buddy. That way he can know like what's been showing up on that camera if he's there to hunt or whatever it may be. So unfortunately, that is definitely a gap in our technical ability, but I'm really quite confident that in future iterations of this feature, you'll be able to share those and share all the photos and all that good jazz.
We had a few questions on wind speed. How do we determine wind speed and direction at a camera location?
Yeah, so obviously all of the camera locations are kind of fed into that machine learning based on where they're located on our map. So if you're like me and you put some of your trail cameras in your yard, um, you're obviously not going to get the most accurate analysis on those cameras because we are pulling that data from your yard. And that is coming from onX's weather, which we actually have a very sophisticated weather platform that actually triangulates any given area that you query. So if I tap on the map right here and I click weather, what we're actually doing to pull weather for this location is actually pulling from, multiple of the nearest weather stations. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 6, just depending on how many weather stations are in close proximity to that particular area. And so that's how we're deriving the weather. We obviously our machine learning capability of pulling your trail camera's location, at which point we're able to pull out the metadata of the timestamp. And then we cross-reference that with our weather information at that location, at that timestamp, and that's how you're getting wind direction and wind speed.
Maybe do a couple more. There was quite a few questions or a handful of questions on if people can upload videos as well as photos.
So we do not yet support videos. It's something that we certainly will aim to support in the future. But right now, you guys would be blown away at the number of trail camera photos that come into our ecosystem every day. And so because this is a little bit of a new sector for us and having to store tens of millions of photos. We're walking before we run because, as you know, a video takes significantly more storage than a photo. And being that mapping is our game today, trail cameras certainly is going to be an integral part of that. But today, videos we do not allow simply so we can get a very stable storage solution built but before we allow the integration of those videos.
Had a few people ask something along the lines of Richard's question here, which is, can more than one hunter integrate the same camera?
I believe that is a yes, but it needs to be from different onX accounts. But that is a great question, Richard, because I have not yet tested that and I really ought to. So I believe you can, if you have a Moultrie account that you share with somebody. Like if me and Jack shared a Moultrie account and we had like shared cameras, I do believe that individually in our onX apps, we could go into Moultrie, pick the camera we wanted to connect, and we could both do the onX connection. But again, you have to be sharing that Moultrie account.
One more question here that I thought was pretty good. We touched on it a bit, but Spencer asked for SD cameras, how does it determine the wind direction when you upload your photos, or is that something I would have to put in? So
No,
Spencer, go ahead, Jared.
yeah, so no, I'm tracking there. So, let's say you uploaded a photo, from June 5th of this year. So long as you put your trail camera icon on the location in which that trail camera was placed in the woods, we have a whole historical data set of our weather that we can basically tap back into to go back and say, okay, June 6th, machine learning knows where your location was, knows the when and the where, and they're able to go back into our historical aggregated weather data and pull that weather data to inform you of that wind direction, that wind speed, all that good jazz. So no, it should work backwards with you if you're uploading historic photos. Now that said, I do not believe if you were trying to get patterns from, a buck in 2022 that you were hunting, our weather provider that we have today is new as of sometime in 2024. So um, my anticipation, and I do not know this for sure, I'll go check with the product team, is that it will go back to the point in which we had our current weather provider, because our prior weather provider did not give us historical data.
Awesome. Well, there's still some questions rolling in. Unfortunately, we don't have time to answer everyone. So again, I'll give a plug for our customer support. If you have any like technical questions, need help with getting a camera integrated or getting it placed on your map, shoot us an email to help@onxmaps.com. We'll get you taken care of there. And
Yep.
with that, I think we'll call it a night. Thanks everybody for joining. Hope to see you on a future masterclass. And Jared, thanks for showing us all of your knowledge.
Yeah, appreciate you guys coming out. Hope you guys are getting some good bucks on camera and have an awesome fall. Stay safe out there. Wear your safety harnesses. Shoot straight at them. Enjoy it.
Have a good one, folks.